Okay, hi everybody. My name is Darcy and I am a compulsive overeater and sugar addict. And like you, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the gray sheet. I write them down. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between and I eat all that I commit no matter what. And I've been abstinent since August 30, 2009. So when I came to Gray Sheet, I'll start by saying that I didn't come here at my largest weight, at my highest weight. I stopped weighing myself at 210. I came here at 165. And here's some photos of me at about 185. See if I can make them not be too shiny. So definitely, I got a lot bigger than that, but I really avoided cameras. So Gray Sheet has done for me, it's turned me into a more sensible thinking person. I can say that right off the bat. And that's something that I really want to stress today, is that I have this addict in me that has all kinds of thoughts in my head, and that is defiant, that resists reasonable thinking, that resists reasonable actions. And that addict in me wants to and has taken me down some pretty ugly roads. And as a kid, I was already a sugar and carb addict, but I was a busy little body and a nervous little kid and a frightened little kid and an angry little kid. And I was living in a house of chaos and violence and abuse. And so I was not ever a heavy kid. I found I reconnected with my addiction of sugar and carbs when I got sober at 30. And that was in 1988. And once I stopped the liquid form of sugar, grains, and starches, I fell back into the solid forms. And I blew up in the rooms of AA, like some of us do. I blew up. And I was miserable, and the addict was running wild, and my behavior was unattractive, and I was still broken and still hurting and still grieving everything that I had experienced. And I come from a really large family and 8 kids. And what happened to me was at 41, after 11 years of sobriety, I took an outside, what would you call it? Well, it was landmark form. I did this outside thing out of AA, which actually worked for me in the sense of I went one time and they said some things to me that pissed me off, but they told me the truth. And what I did was I realized that I kept living life with the old message of all the pain, and this is what happened, and blah, blah, blah. And I kept myself in that place. And my eyes were open to the fact that I wasn't living. I was a floating head on a body that I wasn't connected to. And I wasn't living a true life. I was just waking up every day, acting out, hiding, hurting. And so I wrote letters to everybody in my family and forgave those that I needed to forgive and made amends to others and said, that's it, I'm joining the living. And so it sent me to this place of healing and long, long road of healing. And I got better, but I was still eating. And so when I met my wife in 2001, who was in Gray Sheet, I knew as a compulsive overeater that I was looking at a solution. And I watched that solution for 8 years before I found my own surrender. And I call it my gift from God. It's one of my greatest gifts from my higher power, which was the gift of surrender. Because I continued those pictures that you looked at. A lot of those pictures were those first 8 years with a GreySheeter. And I would go up But I would go down and I would come up with all kinds of great solutions of my own, all kinds of great food programs. Oh, this is what I'll do. And, they worked for a while. They worked for one time, it worked for 1 year. Wow, I thought I found it. But then I tasted one thing. And as an addict, that's all it took. One little taste of what I can't eat. And I was on another runner. I was gone. I was blowing up, shrinking inside and growing outside, because that's what food does to me. It only shrinks my insides. So today, what I know is that voice of that addict does that to me. The voice of the addict even gives me good solutions. It wants to help maybe sometimes. I don't know. I doubt that. But my sensible voice comes from this sensible program, comes from eating sensibly, comes from turning it over to another person, comes from being a part of a fellowship like all of you. That is so helpful for me because I'm an isolator, because I grew up cut off from everybody. Even in a room with 10 of us, I was cut off. I was shut down. And that's my go-to response in life is, I'm out of here. And I can do that and not leave the room. That's something I learned early, how to disappear in the room, but you don't know I've disappeared. So I have to tell these things about myself because that's my gut reaction in life. All the healing I've had, that's still in me. And that is what my addict feeds on too. All of that old dysfunction that still lives in me, that still rears its ugly head. So the solution is all of these things that I've mentioned. It's you. It's not me alone. It's not me coming up with good ideas. It's all of us. It's the gray sheet itself, which is sensible, very sensible. And so anything that is sensible, I need to focus on. And I need to know what my addict sounds like. And I do know what my addict sounds like. It does try to reason with me. And it does it also through defiance and anger, justified anger. And I can't go there. I just can't go there. So one thing also that I want to talk about is I'm 66 years old, almost next month. And when I was 16, so 50 years ago, my mom and I started this talking, this dreaming, she would have called it a pipe dream, right? Of going to Portugal and Ireland. And my mother is Portuguese. She's first generation American. My mother, mentally ill, very damaged, child abuse herself. My mother fell into, in her 70s, dementia. And I do say fell into. She slowly disappeared. And she's 93 years old now, and she lives in a memory care facility. And she doesn't even know who I am anymore. And I was the last person that she could recognize. And she never fulfilled these dreams that her and I had. And we talked and talked and talked about it for decades. And what happened to me was in 2023, my wife and I was talking about doing some more van traveling. And Annette said, oh, I outed her. There you go, Annette. You know who she is. Annette said, why can't we just travel without you killing yourself building a van? And I had been looking at expat videos, and I said, I think there's a way we could do that. And so we did this elaborate travel plan for a year, as some of you know. And we went to 12, 13 countries. And we started in Portugal. And we spent 2 months there. And for me, a poor kid from a huge dysfunctional horrible living situation, moving 27
Darcy,
times.
sweetie, that's the first 10. You have 5 more.
Thank you. And my unstable childhood, like I said, I moved 27 times when I was a kid and within 3 states, never felt like I had a home. That kid wasn't supposed to do what we did, but we found a way to do it. We even sold our home to do it. We found a way to do it. And we did it abstinent. This is what amazes me is that, somebody even said this to us. We have grocery stores in Spain, because we were fearful. How are we going to do this? We don't even know anything really about where we're going. And so Google Maps told me where the grocery stores were. And so I found apartments, walkable distance to all the grocery stores. It's just what you do when you want to stay abstinent. You will go to any lengths. I will go to any lengths to stay abstinent. And I do not have to give up anything to do that. Not really. I don't have to give up what matters to do that. I have to give up the things I'm addicted to, and I have to give up certain behaviors, but that's a blessing. But I got a life I never thought I would have, ever. I really believed that it was a pipe dream to go to Portugal and Ireland and all these other places. Not for people like me that came from where I came from. You don't do that. I never saw it. My family's never done it. I don't know anybody in my family that came from where I came from has done this. So I really, truly equate that to being abstinent because I get to think sensibly now. That's a gift. I don't have to let the addict run my life. That's a choice. So sensible thinking allowed me to figure out how to do this big dream. It worked. It was amazing. And now we're settled back in beautiful Oregon, and I'm so grateful for that. So I like to say that I came for the sanity and not the vanity. Because, like I said, I was not at my highest weight, but I was my craziest when I got to you. I was hurting so bad. I was so full of shame, so full of self-loathing. I couldn't stand myself. I felt like the biggest failure on earth. And I knew that you knew that about me. The biggest failure on earth. That is not my story today. I am not a failure. I am not damaged goods. I am not broken. That's not my story anymore. I am put back together. I am free from that addict. I am sensible. Thank you to GreySheet and all of you. That's all I have. Thank you.